Hello Jim, hello Chris, hello everybody out there. First of all, I have to warn you that this video may be a little bit cringy for you because I'm not a native speaker at all. I'm doing German videos typically on my channel, and there's an easy reason why it is the case, because I am a German person and I really cannot speak English that well. So please keep that in mind. I'm sorry for that. I will try to entertain you though, but first of all I have to state clear that this video is first and foremost dedicated to you, Chris and Jim, because I really want to take the chance to talk about Secrets of the Lost Tomb, and I really want to mention several wishes I have for the third printing. And we have to talk about several design choices you have made for the first and second edition, and aspects that I think should be changed maybe, and especially things that should not be changed at all, to keep it the game it already is. Secrets of the Lost Tomb is my second favorite game of all time and my #1 dungeon crawl game overall. Because I think Secrets of the Lost Tomb has, even in comparison with games like Galaxy Defenders, Sword and Sorcery, Darklight Memento Mori, Shadows of Brimstone, Altar Quest, and many, many more, Secrets of the Lost Tomb has aspects in it that make it very special, to date. I was not a big fan, not a fan at all to be honest with you, of Secrets of the Lost Station. The biggest problem of Lost Station was that I found many decision spaces we had in Lost Tomb were ripped out of the game. So Lost Station was a very railroady experience with no choices at all, which gave me the feeling of being a computer bot, doing nothing at all and just watching what the game offers me, which is a huge problem when playing games. So it was a very passive, railroady experience to me. So Secrets of the Lost Tomb should not follow this route. It should be the way it is. And now let's talk about some positive things of Lost Tomb and some negative things, and what I think about them, what should be changed and what should not be changed at all. Let's start with some negative aspects of the overall game. And I would start with the Epic Adventure Guide. I really see that you have put a lot of effort into the system. So many choices how to create your campaign, how to keep balancing into account, but it really does not work. The reason is Secrets of the Lost Tomb, and you know your own design, you will find a lot of items, a lot of artifacts in your game. You will have access to stat improvements due to the Soulmonger, due to the courage resource. So you will throw two hands full of dice in this game. After one scenario, especially in the end game, so the last third of a scenario. And to me, there's no way, really no way, where I can start the next scenario with this progression overall. The only possible solution to this would be to reset the character, but then I would say, why should I even play Lost Tomb as a campaign game? So to keep that, to make that clear, Secrets of the Lost Tomb gives you a perfect feeling of progression and character development and identification. When we talk about games like Arkham Horror 2nd Edition, this is the same thing here. You really are developing your character via items and skill improvements, but it does not work overall in a campaign system to me. So I would say it was a nice idea. Put your efforts into new scenarios and do not try to make an epic campaign guide for the third edition of Secrets of the Lost Tomb, because I really cannot think about a solution that would be A, fun, B, worth it, and C, which would be work at all. I really can't see it, sorry. The second aspect is proofreading. Some tiles, like the Temple of Inscriptions, have printing errors like this one. So if you discover the Temple of Inscriptions, it reads, place the Temple of Inscriptions, but I have already placed the Temple of Inscriptions, so obviously it should read, place the Mayor Necropolis. And some cards, like you can see in the background, have printing errors as well. So please double check if there are any components with printing errors in your game, especially in Secrets of the Lost Station, even in Rambo the board game and Metal Dawn. you had several printing errors in your game. Some of them are game breaking, like wrong scenario descriptions in Secrets of the Lost Station, and some printing errors are a little bit annoying that I have to check Board Game Geek, like in Rambo, where are different spawn points and something else. So please keep that in mind that you double check your components this time, please. The third aspect is the Journey to the Tomb tile. Don't get me wrong, I love this. I think that this module, the Journey to the Tomb tile, should be part of the base game, and it should not be a separate add-on. It is essential to the overall game, I think, and it is brilliant. But let's talk about some minor thing. It comes from a production point of view. When you have dungeon tiles adjacent to the Journey to the Tomb tile, and I put some random tiles to the left and to the right, you see that those tiles are overlapping. So you really should think about reworking this tile a little bit, that you have more space between the tiles that are adjacent to the Journey to the Tomb tile. This is a minor thing, but please keep that into account. Another thing is found in the Legend of Herathulu, the Herald of Cthulhu scenario. I really like the overall idea of the scenario, but you really should think about implementing conditions that hinder players to camp, because camping in this scenario is the most effective strategy. And this is a huge letdown to me, because with camping you have good control in this scenario. So please rework this a little bit, that there is more pressure for the players in this scenario. Otherwise, I think all your scenarios are good or great. So I really do not have any problems with your scenario design, and they are overall awesome in this game. The next aspect I typically do not use in Lost Tomb is the ascending rule in the add-on Fate's Fortune. As you already know, you can level up your adventurer with the ascending rules, but the problem is that the dungeon does not develop enough strength, so the balance is off. So 3 suggestions overall. A, make it optional, as it already is in the original printing. 2, rework the overall balance of the ascending abilities and the strength of the dungeon. Or C, rip it out of the game completely, because I think it is not necessary. You gain enough strength, a lot of items, which will give you the overall feeling of progression, so I don't think that this module is necessary at all. Another aspect from Fate's Fortune is very subjective to me, and maybe not a problem for a lot of players, but you have traitor scenarios with these ascending rules. And I'm not a big fan of traitor rules, especially in co-op games, which are forcing players to cooperate, and with time pressure, because Secrets of the Lost Tomb has time pressure mechanics in it. And I really do not think that traitor mechanics really work that well in this game. So keep that in mind, that I think you should not concentrate on, especially do not concentrate on new traitor mechanics or new traitor scenarios. And I would think about leaving the traitor mechanic out of the third printing completely. Next is the art. Secrets of the Lost Tomb is an ugly game in a way, and maybe you know it. I'm fine with the overall look of the game. It looks trashy, it looks like a B-movie, that's true, but on the other hand, it really looks amateurish, so like a paint job or something like that. So if you have enough money for that, and you have the resources to overhaul the whole artwork of this game, you should do it. But if you don't have those resources, please keep in mind that a lot of players are fine or can accept the overall look of the game. So really think about your resources if you have enough to rework the overall look of the game. Think about the art style overall. I think that the B-movie flair of this game is very important to enjoy it. So keep it trashy, keep it B-movie-esque. Maybe think about getting into the direction of Fortune and Glory, but really make it look a little bit more professional, I think. The next aspect we have to talk about is, of course, the ARM device. It is fiddly, it is not intuitive at all. It is hiding stats, especially the starting stats. It is hiding the starting items, so it is not the best solution overall. The packs are too tight. So I think you should rework this overall idea, especially the from a technical standpoint, because and this will bring us to a later segment of this video. I think the overall idea of this should be and should remain part of the game, especially this thing over here, but we will talk about that later. So we are just talking about the technical side to think about other solutions, how you could implement this ARM device with a more intuitive and more enjoyable thing. And last but not least, your game should have more player aids. The Journey to the Toontail has a lot of reminders on it. So on Comet number 5, Spawn Silverback Ancient and something like that. The action how to move to the plane and get back. Action move to the tombs. And this is fine, but when we are think about Medusa's Meridian, there are no player aids at all. And your game is fiddly. It should stay fiddly. And so we really need more player aids overall that new players, especially new players, can enjoy your game a lot faster and get easier into the game. So enough negative criticism, let's talk about the good stuff that should remain in the game the way they already are. First of all, the courage system and overall all base mechanics should remain the same, should remain untouched. So please keep those mechanics that we are talking about now the way they are. So the courage system. I found that the overall idea of your courage system in the first and second edition is, simply put, brilliant. You are developing skills, you are decreasing stats, and you have to manage this resource every single time you encounter monsters. The problem is that you have to remember all the monsters you have encountered. So Zombie A and Zombie B are not the same category of monsters. It is very thematic, it really makes sense, but it comes with fiddliness. To me, you should keep that fiddliness. So yes, you should keep it the way it is, that you have to manage your resource with Zombie A as well as Zombie B. Maybe include clippers for remembering, for making remembering the different monsters you have encountered easier, but it should be the way it is because it offers a lot of decision space for every single action and every single turn, which I think is really brilliant. Of course, we need more of this one. We need more scenarios. So in the third printing, you should implement the old scenario books and concentrate your whole resources on creating new scenarios, because the backbone and the timeline of this game really depends on the variety of the different scenarios, and your scenarios are awesome. The exploration is great, the surprising moments in the scenarios are great, so we really want more of them. More scenarios, more books. I really would buy every single scenario book add-on you will give me in your next Kickstarter, that's for sure. Next thing, dice. Your game really depends on dice chucking, and I love dice chucking. I love throwing 2 fistfuls of dice in your game, and the thing you should take into account is including enough dice for your skill checks. So I've bought the second dice set that you offered in the second printing, or the first printing, I cannot remember correctly. So please include more dice in your game, that you do not have to switch and re-roll more dice than necessary. So please make a second dice set part of the base game overall. Let's talk about some modules. I've already talked about the Journey to the Toontail, which comes into in the Apocalypse add-on. I find this tile is essential because it offers more decision space to the group, to the players, because you can move out of the tomb, get rid of status effects and get back. So even if you have encountered terrible things and you have earned terrible status effects, you still have control to get rid of them, which I think is a really great addition to encounter-driven games, that you are not too passive during your turn. So please implement the Journey to the Toontail in the third edition. I think you should implement it in the base game. Another module, or 2 modules, which I really like is Atlantis and is the Medusa's Meridian. Those 2 level 4 areas in the tomb offers more decision spaces as well, because in Atlantis you can eliminate some tomb levels so that no more monsters can spawn in those levels. And Medusa's Meridian offers a new possibility to make the game harder, very hard sometimes, because you have to control this stack of tiles. Yes, it is fiddly, the overall game is fiddly, it will stay fiddly, hopefully, but it offers players with more experience a more challenging approach to the game, which I think is a really great addition to the game. But maybe think about implementing a new tile, so like the Journey to the Tomb tile we've already seen, where you have printed the instructions how to manage these tiles, that you not have to double check the rulebook for this. But I think Atlantis is a very good addition to the game, and Medusa's Meridian also, so please keep them in the third printing of the game. Which brings us to dungeon tiles. I think the amount of dungeon tiles in Secrets of the Lost Tomb is simply amazing. So much variety, so many traps, so many different rooms, so many artifact chambers. It is great. So the variety when we are talking about dungeon tiles is mind-blowing. But it comes with a price. Maybe you can think about that in your next printing. I managed those dungeon tiles that you can see, like the Temple of Inscriptions already told us that you have to place the Mayan necropolis. So to reduce setup time, I would suggest that you keep some tiles in the stacks and some tiles you keep them out of it. So long story short, please implement rules how to keep the tiles separated. So do not leave the tiles out, just think about some instructions or maybe hints on the back of the tile, like making solutions like this one, that you know this tile is not part of the stack and will come into play later or something like that. And last but not least, the monsters and the standees. I really like the standee system in this game. These are wandering monster cards, and your really great design idea is that all the information you need as a player is listed on the cards. You do not need separate reference sheets, some hints in the manuals. Everything is there in one spot, and this is amazing. So really, I think your game really does not need miniatures at all. Maybe if you think your Kickstarter is only successful with miniatures, which I think it will not be the case, but it is your decision. You should think about producing miniatures as an optional buy, but not as an essential part of the game, because in Secrets of the Lost Station you have to manage cards, miniatures as well, and I think the miniatures are not needed at all. So please keep in mind that the standees are really perfect, a perfect fit for your game. And really, from an economic side of your game, how to play it and how they work in your game system is, simply put, brilliant. So keep it. So in the end, I really want to say thank you, Jim. Thank you, Chris, for watching this video, for listening to your audience. And I'm crossing fingers that Secrets of the Lost Tomb in its third edition will be as successful as possible, as good as possible, and really think about keeping the game it was. I know I'm repeating myself several times in this video, but I really want to make clear that Secrets of the Lost Tomb is a masterpiece in its class. Even if it is a fiddly game, and all players out there who are looking for a very tactical game about positioning and tactical combat especially, this is not your game, and it will never be. You have to look somewhere else. But all other players who are looking for great adventures, mind-blowing journey into the unknown with lots of moments of exploration and surprise, and pulp adventure goodness, this is your game, really. This is a game that put other games in familiar systems like Mansions of Madness to shame, when it comes to my opinion. So Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Jim, for making this game in its first and second installment. And I'm really crossing fingers that your third printing will be as close to the original as possible. And to be honest with you, I would back Secrets of the Lost Tomb as a third Kickstarter campaign with no changes at all when it comes to its art, to its mechanisms, its overall design. Just with a new scenario guide, I will put all my money into this. Seriously, without a doubt. So keep that in mind. I'm crossing fingers for you. Thank you for making this game. Thank you for thinking about a third print run of this game. And hopefully it is as supportive as it could be. So I'm talking about this video. And it is helpful for you. Because I really think that this game needs to get a broader audience. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for for your time that you endured my terrible English language. So thank you very much. I'm signing off. #goodbye.